Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I'm your host, Eric Smith, and today I'm talking about School's Out by Brian Keene. Now, what we have with School's Out is the story of Alan Gardner, who is an 8-year-old who finds himself alone after some sort of possible apocalyptic event. And it's just the story of Alan and how he survives. So, right off the bat, there is an author's note. No, we'll go even before that. On the title page, it says, School's Out, a book for intermediate to adult readers. And then we get to the author's note where Brian Keene does say, while this is a book for intermediate to adult readers, if you are a parent, you should definitely read this before giving it to your children to read, so that you can determine whether it's appropriate. I do not have children. I don't know exactly where intermediate reader falls, but of course all kids are different, and some could probably handle this better than others, and that's what parents are for, to decide. And he also says, based on the nature of the story, that it's a good opportunity to introduce your children to emergency procedures in case something horrific happens. And there's also an afterword. It sort of talks about the genesis of the story and stuff. But, you know, you'll read that when you finish reading this. But, of course, this short little story, which is only some pages, it's about 70 pages. As I said, it's the story of Alan Gardner, just an 8-year-old kid who finds himself alone in his home. His mother has gone away on business, so it's just Alan and his father. Well, his father dies. The electricity dies. Something has gone wrong in the world. There don't seem to be any other people around. Just Alan. And his cat, which, not a person, but at least Alan's not completely alone. And so it's the story of what Alan does, what this 8-year-old kid does when he has a dead father in the bedroom. No contact with the outside world because he can't find anyone to contact, and the days go by and things look more and more dire. You know, he's just a kid. He doesn't necessarily have, or I shouldn't say necessarily, he doesn't have the resources, the knowledge, the wherewithal to, let's say, loot a store, find supplies that he might need. He wouldn't know what he needs. And so he's just trying to stay alive, hoping maybe that his mother will come home, hoping for contact. And, I mean, I don't want to give too much away, so I'll leave it at that, I guess. It's a typical, it's Brian Keene, so of course it's well written, and it is. I get it's written at a level that I suppose intermediate children should be able to follow. That's not the issue, as far as, you know, you reading it first and then deciding if your children should read it. It does have some strong themes, and I think perhaps some strong language. And that's the issue. So they won't have a problem, your kids won't have a problem reading it as far as how it's written. You know, it's not like they're trying to read War and Peace. It's just the themes. You know, some children might be very scared by this. And as an adult, I mean, it's an interesting little 70-page character study, for lack of a better. I mean, it's not a coming of age story. I tend to think you need to be a little older than 8 for it to be a coming of age story, I guess. I don't know. Usually they're lower teens, early teens. but I wouldn't call it a coming-of-age story. It's a survival story. It's... And I can see how you could use this as a tool to open up a conversation with your children. Who knows what's going to happen in the world, even if it's not some worldwide apocalyptic event. Sometimes things happen and kids unfortunately need to deal with them, and this could be a good conversation starter. But grown-ups, read it first, decide if it's right for your children. So yeah, that's School's Out by Brian Keene. I give it, again, for what it is, it's tougher, I think, for me to gauge. Maybe not. Maybe I'm making this too difficult. I read it. I was entertained by it. It was well written. Alan Gardner is an interesting character for an 8-year-old. I think the way he behaves is probably accurate. I have known 8-year-olds. I was 8 once. So based on all of that, and I was entertained by it, it is an interesting story. So based on all of that, I'm just, you know, I don't know how kids are going to receive it. I don't know how other people are going to receive it. But anyway, I give it, kind of angle that right because of the lighting. But anyway, I give it 5 out of 5 drink boxes, juice boxes. It really is a well-written story and an entertaining story. And first and foremost, that's what I'm looking for. If it goes deeper than that, that's great. And this, well, it goes as deep as an 8-year-old, I guess. Which isn't to say it's a shallow story. It's a good story, and I do think, especially as a kid, I was reading all sorts of crazy horror stuff when I was really young. So I'm sure there are kids out there who can handle this. But again, that's your job to decide. But I give it 5 out of 5 grape juice boxes. That is School's Out by Brian Keene. So I will have a link or two for the book in the description below. And if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. And please like, share, and subscribe. So that's the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.